Kimber Pro Carry II, custom killer grips, infidel grips. These are 230 grain plated hollow points from Georgia Arms. Those are 3 cans. Let's see how much more accurate my Kimber Pro Carry II is with the infidel grips. All right, here we go. I think I am more accurate with the infidel grips. I like that. All right, I've got 5 more shots.
Wait.
Fellow YouTubers, Budget Armory channel here, and finally I'm going to review my Kimber Pro Carry II. Now I gotta tell you, I love this gun. Now this is the best out of the box 1911 that I've ever owned, and I've owned about 10 of them. This is the only one I currently own. I mean, I've owned Colts, Springfields, Imperial Ordnance, all great pistols, and I wouldn't hesitate to buy any one of those again. But the Kimber, in my opinion, outpaces and outshines them all. Well, the main question is, as you're asking yourself, is the extra cost really worth it? And for you safety Nazis out there, it is unloaded. Magazine well is empty. So let me go. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and close the slide. There we go. Okay, everybody happy? Good, because I'm happy now too. All right, the answer, of course, is yes to the extra cost, because all Kimbers come standard with steel match grade barrels. There you go. Steel match grade barrels, match triggers, full length guide rod, fitted high ride beaver tail safety, lowered and flared ejection port, non-snag combat sights, non-snag combat sights, excellent fit and finish. Chip McCormick is the head of design team at Kimber, of course, and his input and expertise is evident throughout the entire Kimber line. In fact, you know, I was in the market actually for Springfield Champion. I wanted a commander size gun, and I had owned a Springfield before, a full-size Springfield years ago that I had some custom work done on, and I was very happy with it. Springfields, even Rock Island Armories, any mil-spec 1911 makes a great customization platform. The Champion was around $550 or so. But once I started adding up the cost of customizing it, you know, getting to the level that I wanted as far as a 1911 pistol, you know, it started becoming a little less of a bargain. So I went ahead and bit the bullet, and I included selling my wife extremely hard on the merits of expending over $200 more for what she essentially saw as the same gun. And I went ahead and bought the Kimber. I mean, think about it. This ran about, I think, $775 at the time, and this was hard to find. This one was hard to find. But when you start, you talk, what, $200, $225 more for 1911. If you start adding custom barrel or match grade barrel, I mean, you're in $100, $150 plus installation and fitting, high ride beaver tail grip safety. The grip safety itself isn't a whole lot, but you know, installation, of course, the fitting, the refinishing, everything like that, trigger job, you know, it starts to add up. So to me, it was a better bargain, a better deal to get the Kimber with all the stuff that I would already want. Now, if you're not interested in all that stuff, if you're not interested in getting a match grade barrel, trigger, you know, all that other good stuff, then, you know, by all means, get that Rock Island Armory, get that Springfield. Great pistols. I haven't shot the Rock Island Armory. In fact, I had a friend that recently bought one, and I'm going to go ahead and shoot his, and I'm going to compare the two side by side, and to give a little bit more of an objective opinion, if you will. So, like I said, I went with the Kimber. My wife let me go ahead and buy it, so then that way I won't have to carry her Glock 26. Probably other reasons too. But now, what makes the Kimber so much better than any other 1911? Well, the design is over 100 years old, so you know, what could possibly be made better? Well, you have to remember that when John Browning, while he was a genius gun designer, I mean, I would say the most prolific, most amazing gun designer in any lifetime. So, you know, how could you possibly improve on the design? Well, you have to remember when he built the gun in his head first, without ever putting anything down on paper. he was just like that. In fact, a lot of guys did that back then. But there were no technical drawings of the 1911 until they needed them for patent application. I mean, that's how good this guy was. And really, designing a gun back then was more of an art than it is a science. Well, Kimber took the production process, it looked at it as a whole, and they especially observed how each part works in relation with each other. So how different parts interact, how the trigger bow engages the sear spring, which engages the sear, everything regarding that. And using computer models, they basically rewrote the entire book on how to manufacture a 1911 pistol. They relied heavily on CNC, or computer numeric control, and they were able to design a manufacturing method that allows for a tighter fit with closer tolerances that produces a pistol that is more accurate and reliable than any of its parent pattern. So in other words, this is not your grandfather's, or actually probably these days, not your great-grandfather's 1911. So that is part of the reason why the Kimbers are so good out of the box. Now, a Kimber Pro Carry II, this particular pistol here is an aluminum alloy frame, commander size pistol. Traditional commander size is 4 1/4 inch. Kimber uses the 4 inch. They chop off that extra 1/4 inch barrel. After World War II, just to give you a history of the Commander, the U.S. government began searching for a replacement pistol for the 1911 A1, and one of the requirements was that the pistol would not exceed 7 inches in length, or 28 ounces in height, or in weight rather, unloaded. Of course, the result was the Colt Commander. It was introduced way back in 1949, but in 9mm. And the pistol was never intended, of course, to be used as a primary battle weapon, but more like an officer's or an MP sidearm. But none of the armed services ended up adopting the Canada pistols, including the Colt Commander. Colt wasn't the only one that submitted one, but that was their Canada pistol. But, however, Colt, in its infinite wisdom, decided to move forward and offer it to the civilian market with fantastic success. Colt Commander was also offered in .38 Super and, of course, .45 ACP. While people loved the lightweight and the smaller size, they didn't like the lack of durability. You have to remember, aluminum alloy technology back then wasn't what it is today. Basically, you were looking at about 5,000 rounds before the frames cracked, and other undue wear and tear. So the alloy frame 1911 pistols, and really that's kind of carried through to today. They've held the reputation of pistols that you can carry a lot and shoot a little. But that's not the case with the Kimber Pro Carry II, and of course a lot of modern day lightweight aluminum alloy frame pistols. The all alloy frame Kimbers, they are milled from a solid block of 7075 T7 aluminum, which is supposed to be the hardest and strongest aluminum alloy frame available today. They also, interestingly enough, run the alloy frames on the exact same machinery that they do their steel frames. Now, the advantage of that is this, is that they're able to hold the exact same tight tolerances as the steel frames. And voila, you have a semi-automatic pistol that will function reliably with a myriad of ammunition and be durable as well. Now, Kimber has put over 20,000 rounds through their alloy frame pistols without any significant wear. Just to give you an idea that it's just not Kimber that is saying this, back in 2001, the Tacoma Washington Police Department decided they need to replace their current duty sidearm pistols, and so they conducted pistol trials back in 2001. And the Pro Carry II and the Pro Carry HD II, which is the steel frame counterpart of the Pro Carry II, were just two of the pistols that were evaluated. This was just two among 37 models of handguns, including guns from Glock, SIG, and Beretta, which of course at the time was the leader of the duty sidearm. More Berettas were carried back in 2001 than any other. Right now it's Glock, and with good reason. I mean, Glocks are great pistols. And those all went up against the Kimber Pro Carry HD II and the Kimber Pro Carry II. And the HD II and the Pro Carry II prevailed. Now, several things were considered when the Pro Carry HD II and Pro Carry II were chosen. And, you know, as incredible as this may sound, the way it fit the officer's hand was considered. And that's a rare thing, because usually it's like, okay, we'll take, 1,000 of these pistols, or how many, doesn't matter who's carrying it, doesn't matter the size of the hand, big hand, small hand, fat hand, skinny hand, or whatever, because many of the Tacoma officers found that the Beretta 92, which was their previous sidearm, was too large to shoot accurately and comfortably, which actually I found the same problem with my Beretta. I had a Beretta 92. I don't have one anymore. So in testing in Kimber's, 16 different Pro Carry IIs were shot. They fired 23,000 plus rounds through them. And they were so impressed with how these pistols performed that the staff, they went out and purchased an off-the-shelf they went to a gun store, in other words, a local gun store in town, and bought a Pro Carry II and just ran another 5,000 rounds through it just to make sure that the guns that they were sent for evaluation weren't just cherry-picked. And no problems at all were encountered. And other than the Kimbers, the pistols had a failure rate as high as 22%. Now, Kimber had the lowest failure rate in the Tacoma, Washington Police Department trials in over 20 years of recorded history of them testing any other type of firearm for their trials. Less than 0.5% failure. And it was also determined that the Kimbers were safer than the other pistols when the safeties were in the on position. Kimbers were tested, had the lowest failure rate, of course, and of the 37 different guns that were tested, none of them even came close to matching the Kimbers in reliability. So, that should tell you or give you an idea of how reliable and dependable these Kimber pistols are. Now, of course, everybody says if you're going to shoot a 1911, the most reliable ammunition that you can shoot is hardball. Well, yes, if this was an old design or non-modern design 1911. Well, that's not the case. The way that the Kimbers are also designed, another one of the standard features is a polished feed ramp. Of course, throated barrel. Any modern day manufactured 1911 is going to feed hollow points reliably. In fact, I was reading an article where it was noted that people said that it actually fed hollow points more reliably than hardball. And I can't really attest that to so much. I've never had a failure with this. I've shot maybe about 300-400 rounds through this now. Never had a failure. Mostly hardball ammunition, but also a good mix of hollow point. And I will say this, that the gun was dirty one time when I was shooting it, and I did have one slight hang up. It didn't fail to feed, but it was one of those, kind of it's going like this and then shot forward. And that was on a hardball load. Actually, it was 230 grain hardball, and that's the only time it's ever happened. My normal carry ammunition is this right now. It is a 230 grain copper plated hollow point from Georgia Arms. This is new manufactured ammunition, and that's a Berry bullet, a 230 grain Berry bullet. In fact, that's the stuff, if you didn't hear me, that's what the stuff I shot at the beginning of the video when I was shooting at those targets, those cans and things like that. Now, of course, it comes with this nice plastic case with Kimber on it, continuing the legacy. All right, and inside, of course, comes with the operating manual. A pistol came in this blue bag, this blue Kimber plastic bag. This blue Kimber plastic bag. And of course, all the other paperwork is underneath this. A certificate for $10 off to join the NRA. Cleaning procedures. Registration cards. I did it online. In North Carolina, you're given this. This is for any handgun purchase. The Youth Handgun Safety Act, it just basically says keep your handgun inaccessible to children or you're going to be in big trouble. And of course, a Meprolite catalog. Basically you get night sights for your Kimber, which of course Kimber owns.